All right, hello everybody. Hopefully you had a good weekend, good holiday weekend, a long one for many. It was pretty straightforward as far as summer weather, and we'll see that continue here over the next several days. The classic summertime pattern across the southeast. Highs anywhere from the upper 80s to low and middle 90s in their warmest spots. It looks like we will trend a little bit wetter late in the week. Nothing really too significant, just a little bit of a shift in our surface and overall steering winds, and that's going to bring about some more moisture and better rain chances. But the tropics looking quiet, beach weather looks good. Let's talk about all of it. Start with our water vapor imagery here, and again, the air not nearly as dry as it was at the end of last week. And where you're seeing those greens pop up, that saturated, that's where we have convection at least at this point. There's a bit of a void over central Alabama here as we do this at about 3:30. Temperatures 90s all across the southeast area where we've been rain cooled. We are in the 80s, even some 70s up over Tennessee. We'll look at the Alabama temperatures. Birmingham at 90, 91 in Hamilton, 94 in Huntsville, 94 in Monroeville, and with rain about both Dothan and Mobile, a bit cooler there, 83 and 75 respectfully. So looking at the composite radar across the Deep South, and again, you got those thunderstorms down in the Big Bend. You've got kind of a void of rain across central Alabama, except up near Walker, Winston, Marion counties. We go to our radar site out of Columbus. This showing that we've got, a few thunderstorms up there just north of Fayette. This is an extreme northwestern Walker and northeastern Fayette. And these are kind of meandering about, but you'll get heavy rain with these and decent lightning strikes as well as we go throughout the afternoon. A lot of us end up staying dry. There was a little cell over near Anniston, Heflin, that has fizzled. And then down along the southeastern part of Alabama and the Florida Gulf Coast, we've got those sea breeze type thunderstorms, again meandering, most of them north of the beach. A few of those right along just to the south of Lake Eufaula and over into Early and Seminole counties. So as for the upper air look, when you get to summertime, it's tough to depict the jet stream. It is way, way, way off to the north. But what we do look for are these ridges and almost upper highs, upper lows, because that will tell a lot about the atmosphere beneath it. You may notice first off that big old upper high that is over the Four Corners region. That'll lead to some serious heat over there. They do have some advisories in place across the southwest. It doesn't really go anywhere over the next several hours, next 24 hours. We head to Thursday afternoon, and again, some weak troughing across the eastern half of the country, and you can see there that little shortwave depicted there right over the Mississippi Delta. That plus a southwesterly flow at the surface and west-southwesterly aloft will bring back more moisture. That's pretty typical of that wind setup. And then getting into the weekend, we kind of keep with that weak shortwave over the Tennessee Valley late in the week. That's why I think Thursday and Friday will be the wettest 2 days. Notice that ridge still over the southwest U.S. And then by the weekend, we got this little upper low that's clipping the northern contiguous United States, southern Canada, and that's about as active as you get from a synoptic standpoint in the summertime there. So it's kind of what we're looking at. Nothing too out of the ordinary, chalk, as you would say, with respect to sports. Tonight, those temperatures will dip down into the 70s, just about statewide, 70 to 76 from the shoals down to the shores. Tuesday's highs, again, mostly sunny. Most of the afternoon activity will be beyond 2, 3, 4, and that gives us plenty of time to get into the 90s, and in some cases, middle 90s. And then as we get into Wednesday, you'll notice those highs come down a little bit. More 80s out there, more low 90s with better rain chances around as we get towards the middle of the week. Let's go to the HER. This is high-resolution data, basically starting this later on this afternoon. And you'll notice coverage not great across Alabama for the most part. It's a pretty quiet day here. But a few isolated thunderstorms will meander about the state through about 8, 9 o'clock. Everything should be wound down by about 10. Into Tuesday morning we go. A quiet start to the day. A little MCS feature moving through Tennessee and Kentucky. That will not impact us. By 2 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, pop-ups again. Some of those over in Mississippi, others in Georgia, and eventually those will move into central Alabama. A little better coverage on Tuesday than we had today. But again, these are diurnally driven, daily driven by the heat, which means they fizzle out by the evening hours. So our rain coverage on Tuesday starts to come up a little bit. You see that 25 to about 40% chance in areas like Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Gadsden, Huntsville, Hamilton. Less or so, that 25 to about 40% range as you get south of Sylacauga and Demopolis all the way down to the Wiregrass area. So again, there's not an exact science to these pop-ups, but it looks like we'll see a little bit better organized convection over Mississippi that'll move into western and northwestern Alabama tomorrow. And then looking at our +2, so this would be 2 days out. NDFD, again, those probabilistic numbers keep coming up. Now we're looking at 50 to 70 coverage. Northern half of the state might be a little aggressive, but the idea being that by mid and late week, our rain chances go up basically statewide. So this is a look. We'll pick this up on Wednesday for the more global models here. This is at 5 o'clock in the morning. We'll go to about 6 p.m. And notice the coverage again, northern half of the state, kind of leaning towards the higher coverage there. And we'll kind of see this daily. Things pulse down, pulse back up. I think Thursday's a pretty good coverage day across all of Alabama. This might be our best coverage day of the week, 70-80% of the state seeing rain. And then by Friday, again, still with that short wave about, I think we see decent coverage, and that'll gradually taper off a little bit as we get into the Alabama weekend. So this is at 3 o'clock on Saturday. And again, afternoon thunderstorms, but coverage becomes less or so. So again, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, probably our best coverage days. And then we kind of come down to more of a daily pop-up. So this is 7-day rain. Of course, you can get 2 inches of rain in one thunderstorm. So this isn't the most helpful map, but this is kind of the average of everywhere across the state. Everyone's going to receive rain over the next week or so. It'll range anywhere from an inch to all the way up as, 1.5 inches. But understand, any heavy downpours, any thunderstorms that park in place can offer up some pretty good rain. Check on the tropics now. Things are pretty quiet. I mean, very quiet. So we call this area the MDR, Main Development Region, out in the Atlantic. Then you get into the Caribbean here, just your daily convection. And then even the Gulf. Things are pretty quiet and just not a whole lot doing here. Again, we're a good ways from the height of tropical season, but certainly good to see no NHC outlooks for the next 7 days across the MDR or anywhere close to the United States. Take that anytime during hurricane season. All right, beach forecast here over the next several days. If you're beach bound, this goes really from Dauphin Island all the way over to Panama City, Port St. Joe. It'll vary a little bit with location, but our water temperatures are in the upper 80s. Highs will be in the upper 80s. Best chance of rain probably going to be late in the week, similar to much of Alabama. But all in all, no washouts. You'll see daily sunshine, some sea breeze thunderstorms, but nothing that'll have you chased from the beaches the entire time. Beach forecast here with rip currents. This is through Friday, Tuesday through Friday, that is. Isolated afternoon thunderstorms from Dauphin Island all the way over to Mexico Beach, Port St. Joe. They'll be fairly isolated each day. Winds will be out of the southwest at 5 to 15. And it looks like rip current risks are low, but I put this up here. Always check those local beach conditions as they are subject to change on a day-to-day basis and hour-to-hour basis, really. Again, we're going to have our show coming up here on ABC 3340. That's at 4, 5, and 6. We'll also have our 10 o'clock show and any updates as need be. Again, pretty quiet across the state. We'll have a radar update, and your next update here will come tomorrow at about the same time, assuming nothing crazy comes up. Hopefully you guys are having a good Monday, good start to the week. See you next time.